Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Overlap Podcast, episode 121 with me, Sid Sexton, and my good friend Keith Kleins. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning, Sid.
You and I were talking this morning, and the funny thing is we had the same ideas about this podcast, and the culmination of it, or I guess the bridge that sort of gapped our ideas, was an Instagram reel.
I saw the Instagram reel a couple of weeks ago. And then you brought it up today, and I was like, well, maybe we were talking about a subject.
Yeah.
And then you brought that Instagram reel up, and I'd seen it a couple of weeks ago, but I really didn't pay attention to it until you said, listen to this.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's timely for maybe this time of year. It's just I haven't been able to put my finger on it, but I personally am dealing with a lot of that, and I don't know, perhaps you are too, and then perhaps our listener is too, and we wanted to have a conversation about the cost of leadership.
Yeah, I think if you look at the overlaps, family, work, spirituality, the cost of leadership,
community,
it can be weighty.
So everyone talks about all of the upside of leadership. There's lots of podcasts, lots of memes, lots of information about the upside of leadership, which there are many, and which I'm a big fan of. I'm not dogging any of that. But if you're going to talk about leadership, and if we're going to be open and honest about it, we definitely have to devote a little bit of time, at least sometimes, about the cost of leadership.
Yeah, I'm sure you run into those people all the time that say, man, I just want to do what you want to do, what you do.
Yeah. I don't know that I run. No one says that to me, but maybe I'm not as approachable as you.
Or I wish I ran a company.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Okay, that's a good point. I'm just thinking through that where I'm like, okay, hey, someone will ask for some advice or whatever. And I'm like, cool, what do you want to do? I want to do what you do. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about starting my own thing.
Yeah, no, cool. Just know, don't compare yourself now to where I am now, because that's a 20-year process. And even then, my outsides don't compare your insides to my outsides.
Yeah, this is what 20 years of mediocrity looks like.
From the outside, it looks really cool. On the inside, it's difficult. And that's the open and honest discussion we wanted to have about the cost of leadership.
Yeah, Kirby Smart is the guy that was in the reel.
Yeah.
I can talk. I really don't like him much.
He was at Alabama. It's a good ag school.
He was at Alabama. Alabama was really great with him because he and Nick Saban teamed up. It's a pretty good combination.
Yeah, that was the peak of the dynasty.
Yes, it was. I think if you looked at it, that is definitely the peak.
He's been barely holding on ever since.
Yep, and he's beat Nick.
Yeah,
I think twice, maybe once.
Yeah, not this last game.
No, not this last game, but year before championship was rough.
Yeah, but you cannot deny that a guy like that leaves a program like Alabama, and not everyone does this, and goes to a high-profile situation like the University of Georgia and is that successful. That dude's been super successful.
Everywhere he's been.
Yeah, super successful. And if we're talking about leadership, and listen, if you're listening to this podcast and you're in, like, I don't know where, maybe the Northeast or the Northwest, perhaps. I'm sorry that you don't have college football like we do, but in South Alabama, college football, and maybe you're in Denmark and you don't really understand. College football is a religion, and it formulates most of our conversations. We can use it as an analogy for everything.
I'm sure those of you from the South talked a lot about college football through the holidays.
Yeah, there was a lot of college football. It was good.
There was?
Yeah, there were some great games. It was, hey, and even if you're an Alabama fan, that was a really good game, that semifinal.
It was excellent.
It really entertaining.
Was. But
back
you know me,
it
doesn't ruin my day if Alabama
it didn't ruin my day when Auburn lost to Alabama. And dude, we were winning until the last play.
You were winning.
And it took me 2 or 3 minutes, but after about 2 or 3 minutes, I was like, that sucked, but okay. That was still a freaking great game. 4th and 31. You give up a touchdown. Get out of here.
But then I think you probably need to explain a little bit the Maryland situation. But we're not a sports talk show, so we don't have to do that.
Yeah. Hey, there's the cost of leadership. You get the highs for almost beating Alabama at home.
And almost beating Georgia, by the way.
Beating Georgia. I know. I was leaving that one alone. It did take Brock Bowers to single-handedly take over that game in the last quarter, but whatever. Yeah, we're not a talk show. But so that's some of the lows of leadership. You go to I don't even know what bowl game that was. Oh, the Music City Bowl in Nashville. And you lose to Maryland by, God, I don't know. Was it 50?
It was a lot until they put their third string in.
Yeah, that's leadership. Can you get the guys up and perform for that kind of game when your season didn't go like you thought it would? Either way.
But I do, while we're on the football coaches.
Okay, let's go.
Leadership role, I think we almost need to mention the transfer portal and what it's doing to make coaches have to be better leaders, I think.
Oh my God, I know.
They're going to have to be better leaders to keep people playing on their team.
Yeah.
Because now the players have an opportunity to get in the portal, which we can argue is good or bad or whatever.
I think I'm on the fence if it's good or bad. I probably lean towards the side of bad because it just doesn't seem like there's any loyalty, but there probably wasn't much loyalty from the coaching staff before. And so you're asking kids that get recruited by coaching staff to, I don't know. We're venturing off into areas of discussion that I am definitely not an expert. But if you want my opinion, and you didn't ask for it, listener, you asked for leadership opinions, but it's tough to get loyalty out of kids. But to your point, it will probably force coaching staffs to become better leaders of young men so that they can tie into and feel a part of something bigger than themselves that will get them through the rough times that they all are going to inevitably have. Injuries, lack of playing time, stuff like that. Not getting to run this particular play or this particular position or whatever. And lots of those kids have been the star athlete for so long that they want to go somewhere that they can be the man.
In the first year.
Oh, yeah, trust me. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I've got personal insight into this.
But I think the overlap there is also we can glean some knowledge from that with our team members.
Yeah.
Like,
they have options.
How do we keep them from not going for 50 cents more an hour?
Hey there. My good friend Steve Bousquet and his partner, Christine Era, the owners of Green Profit Academy, are super excited about a new product they've got coming out. If you didn't know, they're the authors of Profit First for the Lawn Care Business. And it's a book written by Christine Era. Steve plays a big role in sort of adding to that. But they've got that book. It's already out. But if you're an audiobook listener and you just learn better by listening, they've got the audio version coming out. And I think this is really cool. They've got Christine Era narrating the audiobook, and she does a really good job. I've heard some clips of it. It's pretty fantastic. And Mike Michalowicz, the original author of Profit First, he reads the foreword. And so they've got a book launch that's going to come out on their website, Green Profit Academy, and you should stay tuned for more information about that. They're going to have some giveaways. They're going to have some other special deals going on. But the book itself, the audio book, will come out September 12th. So please be on the lookout for that. And if you need some help with Profit First for your green industry business, please give them a call or look them up, Green Profit Academy. Thanks so much. Yeah. And so there's that old adage that people leave leaders, not jobs. That's really true.
Yeah.
People leave leaders, not jobs. There's probably the tie-in too that kids are probably leaving leaders instead of schools, but they might also see that I don't have a pathway to playing time and I just want to play.
Yeah, I think that could be a lot of it.
There's some of that too.
And maybe our team members are doing that too. Maybe they're not getting to play how they want.
That's true. And that's probably okay.
Yeah.
All right. But back to Kirby Smart, man, you can't deny that guy has been successful. And if we're talking leadership, that's a tough job like we just laid out. How do you recruit against the dynasty that was Alabama? How do you get people to buy in, 5-star recruits that have been like the man to tie into and buy into a system where they're a role player.
Yeah, he's done a heck of a job.
He's done a good job. But then again, so is Nick Saban. And he learned. He probably had a pretty good mentor.
Yeah, I think he did.
And I'm not an Alabama fan, but you can't deny Nick Saban's the best college football coach that has ever lived.
Just look at the good coaches that he's put out of there.
Would you put Lane Kiffin in one?
I would.
Yeah, I would too, man.
I would put Lane Kiffin
God, he's a
in there.
nut too.
He is. I love him.
I love that guy. Man, he's a great Twitter follow.
Yeah,
but not near as good as
definitely
Drunk Obby.
No, Drunk Obby is the best. Like I told you the other day,
Dude.
Watching the game, Drunk Obby is probably the best X account that I follow.
He is. Did you see that the center from Alabama put his name to the transfer portal?
Yeah, and he said goes, that was a
this looks like a snap decision.
Yeah, that's amazing.
God, I almost died. Yeah, so we're talking about we're going to talk serious now. The cost of leadership. And Kirby Smart was giving a speech, and there's a reel, an Instagram reel. We'll find a way to link that into the show notes. And in it, he lays out that there is a cost to leadership. And he's got 3 things, he said, plastered on his wall behind him. And we wanted to discuss those and relate those to our personal experiences in professional, family, spiritual, community, all of those different aspects. And we wanted to just share this concept with you, the listener, and maybe get you to listen into our conversation that we were having earlier about the cost of leadership. You ready? You good to go with this?
I just remembered how we got to this point. Talking on this subject is you're actually dealing with the first one right now.
Yeah. So number 1, and this is poignant. All 3 of these are super poignant and really they hit hard and hit home. Number 1, you will have to make hard decisions that negatively affect people that you care about.
In every area of leadership, not just work.
Yeah. You will have to make hard decisions that negatively affect people that you care about. That's tough, man. And that's the deal. If you want to sign up to be a leader, if you want to run your own thing, if you want to build a family, if you want to
what I was just thinking.
If you want to run for office, no thanks. But if you want to be in public office, that's the price. It's not all kissing babies and going to parades.
I would love to see you at a city council meeting.
No, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. People have asked. There's no way. I care. I care too much to get into a situation like that, and I know that I will not be able to behave well. Yeah. I just am not. Yeah, I'm not built for that.
I've not seen a lot of good examples of leadership in politics.
Robin Lejeune is pretty good.
Yeah, he is.
Robin Lejeune, I feel like, is pretty good.
A local mayor.
So you will have to make hard decisions that negatively affect people that you care about. All right, go. Give me some examples.
I was just thinking family-wise.
Yeah.
When you have to make decisions that negatively affect your spouse, it's really difficult to do.
You're going through that with lots of stuff in your family.
Yeah, I am. And
in a general way, let's talk about that.
And so having to make decisions that seem to be, I won't use the word fair. Having to make decisions that seem to be negatively affecting someone that you care and love is very difficult.
Yeah.
But the cost of leadership is that you have to do it because you know it's right.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that I know is right in my business, like we've talked a ton about over the last year. I was creating a culture in my business I didn't even like. And so I had to go in and make decisions people didn't like to the point that people left and family members, because I have a family business. And I think this really implies in a family business because not only are your board meetings tense, so are your Thanksgivings.
Yeah.
You may really want, and we were just talking about this earlier, you may really want to really think about hiring that really good friend.
Yeah. Friends, family, and even if they're not, it still carries a tremendous amount of weight when you add people to your team. And if you've been listening to this podcast, you've heard me say that I take that responsibility with A sense of reverence. God, that sounds fancy, but I do take that responsibility with there's a lot of weight that comes with that because I do understand. Have I ever told you this story about the pizza lady?
No.
Okay, this is my story, and I hate it because there's almost no way that I won't tear up about it. I'm going to look over to the side so I don't look Keith in the eyes and get too emotional about this. But here's the deal. So we'll talk about the make hard decisions about that negatively affect people that you care about. This was early on in my career, and I had built up a little bit of business where I knew that, and I understand time management and stuff like that. And you ever gone through the 4 quadrants of time management, important, not urgent, and all this stuff. And so then I was really honing in on what I needed to do and how do I maximize my time and what is the customer paying for me? What are the things that only I can do? And then it brought me to the point where I needed to hire someone in the office to answer the phone, set appointments, do billing, basic stuff like that. You're just an office person, right? There's no degradation of the position or anything, and I'm not saying that. I just needed someone to do something that someone else could do. And this person was on board for probably 3 months because I'm trying to figure it out. I'd had one person before and they ended up leaving, and that was okay because they weren't great. And then I thought I was leveling up with this next person, but I'm young and I'm trying to figure it out. And so it got to be it got to a point where I knew that this was not a good fit for the person. I can't tell you what it was or why. I don't remember that. I just remember knowing that this was the decision I had to make. And in my mind, I thought, that's fine. No problem. It's okay. And I had heard something that you let people go on Friday, it's easier, whatever. And I was like, okay. And this lady left at 4:30. So it got to be like 4:20 or so. And my office was upstairs above hers. And I came downstairs and I heard that she was on the phone when I hear that. And she's on the phone with her daughter. Because I can hear her talking to her daughter. And they're talking about what are they going to get for dinner? Because it's Friday night, right? And they're making plans. And they're talking about getting pizza because pizza night, we're going to watch this movie and stuff like that. And then, oh, your dad likes this kind, with the pineapples and the whatever, and the ham, and then blah, blah, blah. And they're talking about it. And it hit me, like it hit my heart, that this lady's going to lose her job. And she doesn't know that it's coming. And in her mind, she's just excited about Friday to spend some time with her family and order a damn pizza. And here I am. I'm about to hit her with this, and it's going to ruin everything. It's going to ruin all of that. Or at least that sounds egotistical, like I've got that kind of power. But it's damn sure going to mess up the whole night, right? Probably the weekend. And then she's going to think, how am I going to afford pizza next week? I sit there and I talk to her and I'm like, hey, man, maybe it's me, maybe it's whatever, but it just doesn't feel like it's the right fit. And I got to let you go. I'm sorry. And she just looked at me like dead-eyed, not dead-eyed, but just despair. What the hell am I going to do now? And I'm like, I don't know, but you can't work here anymore. And I couldn't come up with any better words than that. And she just left. And I'm telling you this to say, and I actually told my daughter this the other day, there's a new Pizza Hut in the Publix.
There is. I love
Pizza Hut, right?
Yeah.
And Emma and I are going to go pick up pizza. And I start thinking about that. And I start getting all emotional about it. And I don't know. I don't want my daughter to think I'm a weirdo or anything. I'm just sitting over in the seat getting emotional about it. I'm like, hey, you're probably not recognizing this, but I needed to tell you this story about the freaking pizza lady. I don't even remember her name, but I remember the pizza lady. It affected me so much that now I don't ever want to let anyone go unless they really know that it's coming. And my team will tell you that I hold on to people way too long. And if I think about it, it's because of that one lady. These people come and join your team, man. They're making money to support their family so they can buy pizza with their kids and just have a good life, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with the Friday thing, though, because it seems like you could ruin. I think Mondays would be better.
Monday? Yeah, forget this place. I didn't even want to come here anyways.
That's right.
That's probably a good point.
I think Monday would be better.
That's a good point.
Yeah. No, I get it.
I had to make the decision, though, and it negatively affected that lady. And there wasn't a way for me to unwind it. I couldn't see a scenario where she was going to do a better job. We've had plenty of conversations. And I probably wasn't communicating well, but it didn't matter. I was still paying X amount of dollars and getting Y. And the return or the result of the outcomes that she was producing was not what I needed. So I had to let her go, but God, I hate it, man. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Let me tell you about one of our sponsors, Chris Drogmiller. He's with CMD Fencing. One, I really appreciate his support to the podcast. He listens to the podcast, but long before that, he has done several projects for me at my home, at our business, and the dude just does an awesome job. One of the things I really like about him is it's basically just him and someone that helps him. His attention to detail is phenomenal. The work is always high quality. If you've ever had a fence built, you know that the gate itself and how it opens and shuts is kind of the stamp of quality. It always works well. I've made him make some interesting kind of fencing where it's all horizontal. He had no problems with that, did a great job. And the guy is freaking awesome. He's easy to work with and he does a fantastic job. He's a firefighter, so, he works 2 days on and 2 days off. So he comes in and knocks my project out on the days that he's off. And the dude's awesome. You can find him on our website, overlaplife.com. You can find him on Facebook, CMD Fencing. And his phone number is 901-484-5546. So if you need a fence, need some fence work, call Chris Drogmiller, CMD Fencing.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
And that's the cost of leadership, though.
It really is.
That you are negatively affecting people's lives.
Yeah.
But that's your responsibility, too.
It is the cost of leadership. I signed up for this.
Yeah. I think that is the things that people do not take into consideration when they say, I want to do what you do.
Yeah. How about this? This is a deeper level of this. You're on board. You're starting. You've got a young business, and you're identifying young leaders and people on your team, and you're getting them going. And you start pouring into them, and they start responding, and they start picking up those pieces that you need them to pick up. Fast forward 5 years, and now you're 4x what you were, and there's more complexity and more sophistication and more responsibility. And the person that's been on your side and helped you get to this point, you start to realize that they have hit a ceiling and they are not able to go beyond that. We have all changed. The company has changed, but this person is not able to. Now, what do you do?
Well, I think you would treat that almost like a child in this situation and push them to be better, and maybe pushing them to be better and grow is removing them from that position.
Yeah. So here's my logic with this. Have I coached? Have I put them in a situation? Have I coached them up? Do they know what the outcome is? Yes? Cool. Are they capable of doing it? No? Okay. If the answer is no, are they capable of doing the job? And if you're in leadership long enough, and if you're growing people, the sad truth is this, and this is really a cost of leadership. It really is sad, is that there are limits. People's capacity, whether it's mentally, physically, emotional, whatever, that they have certain limits. And sometimes you get to see people get to their limit and they're not able to go to the next level with you. How do you handle that with grace and professionalism and some care? Is you've got to try to figure out, is there a spot that they can be successful at? And I'm not a big fan of creating positions for people, but is there a position that needs to be done that person would be good at? Can I do that? If yes, cool, do that. If no, talk to them about where we're all going and what you see their limits being, and then try to help them get into a position that they can be successful, and that's oftentimes someplace else. They're not going to see it like that at first. They're going to see like you ran them out, but that's the cost of leadership. And if you're really leading people, you got to do it.
We've talked about this a lot, in that if you don't take the responsibility to make them uncomfortable,
Yeah.
then you're doing them a disservice also.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm not helping you out by doing everything for you and coddling you.
If I see my kids
Yeah.
in a stale place, it's my responsibility to make them uncomfortable so that they get out of it.
My kids get real uncomfortable when I see dishes in the sink. I don't know what it is with me. I do not like dishes in the sink. We are not going to bed tonight until the dishes are out of the sink.
I've noticed that about you.
I don't know what it is.
I can have the dishes piled up. It doesn't bother me one bit.
No way. It bugs me.
Now, floors.
I want to wake up to a fresh start.
Floors dirty?
Oh, yeah. I can't do that either.
Yeah. Floors are my deal. I don't care if anything else is clean in the house. If the floors are spotless, I'm like, oh, our house is clean.
Yeah. Dishes. And so there's a little bit of overlap there. You're talking about a bigger issue, like if they're in a stale place in life, pushing them to go and be some more. And I do think that, like with kids, I push my kids to, they're going to do the dishes, and they don't really realize that I'm helping them with some work ethic. Because I think people forget, and it starts with kids, that there is work to just be done. If you're going to eat, there's work involved in that. Someone cooked that, someone prepared it, and sometimes they even did it. Sometimes they helped a little bit. And there's still dishes. We're not going to let that stuff pile up because it's just going to be chaos. We got to clean that up every time. Okay. Number one, is there any more that you'd like to add to? Number one, you will have to make hard decisions that negatively affect people that you care about. We can talk more about kids and that thing.
No, I think we've hit the kid thing. I mean,
sometimes you have to say, "Hey, look, you're cut off."
Yeah, and the only comparison I would make with running a business is when I see my kids do unhealthy stuff personally.
Oh.
It usually means that they're in a place holistically that's not good. And so a lot of times when we see team members in those same spots, because their personal life, very few team members I've ever had are good at separating. And that's why we say on this podcast all the time that the way you show up at work, it's the way you show up at home.
Yeah, I failed to do the proper intro today because my head's already all in this. I'm all like swirling around with it. Even though we've got notes and we've got an outline, I'm still like...
But and very few people are good. Now, I've had a few that have horrific home lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it don't show a bit at work.
Yeah, I've got one that's got a little bit different home life, and they are fantastic at work.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But very few people
can that's rare. That's why it's the exception.
I can't do that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily wear my...
If there's a riff at home, I struggle to perform.
Yeah.
But I'm emotional anyway. I'm an emotional creature.
Yeah, me too.
I don't deal well with, like, I can have strife going on around me, like, externally. But if it's in my house, it's hard.
Yeah, I heard Rick Rubin say the other day that the home should be where you're safe at, and you don't take risks at home.
It should be your sanctuary.
Your sanctuary, but when you go out into the world, that's where you're able to do exciting things and take risks and engage in conflict and stuff like that, but not at home.
The older I've gotten, because when you have kids, Rick Rubin don't have kids. I don't think he's got kids in his house.
I don't know.
And if he does, he's got like some help.
Probably.
I never had Rick Rubin help when my kids were small.
Yeah.
So if he's got kids, I don't know. But yeah, the older I've gotten, I love a peaceful home.
Me too.
I'll be real honest
with no dishes in the sink.
But I'll be real honest with you. I didn't have a peaceful home until my kids got out of the house.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Mine's relatively peaceful. We're moving. There's practices and there's stuff going on.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by peaceful. There's stuff to do. I don't have anything to do. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like you still do.
Yeah, I got lots to do.
Yeah, you got practices.
Oh, my God. Late. Picking up at 8:30.
Yeah, I wouldn't do you text me at 6 yesterday.
Yeah.
6:45 or something.
In bed
I was already in bed.
I hate you. Yeah, I wish I was.
I was watching the podcast Joe Rogan with John Reeves, who
Is that the Alaska guy?
paleontologist.
Yeah, the bone guy.
Yeah,
Huh.
that was super interesting.
Yeah, I'll probably do that.
But okay.
Okay. Hey, one more on the cost of leadership. Number one, we're still talking about the cost of leadership, folks. You will have to make hard decisions that negatively affect people that you care about. Extended family. And here's the other thing that I thought about. There came a time that I had to tell my mom that I'm not driving 12 hours one way to come to Christmas. Because my kids, it's more important for me that they have a cool Christmas than my mom's. And my mom loves Christmas. Hell, I do too. I really do like it. But that was a tough conversation, and I took some heat from her, but I did have to explain. And I did it actually, surprisingly, with a little bit of love and care of just going, hey, I understand that, and I hate that you feel that way. However, I've got 2 kids at this time that really believe in Santa Claus, and it's really tough to get Santa Claus to travel that far and keep it a secret and keep the mystery alive, visiting you. We're going to do this from now on, and I hope you respect that enough to just understand where I'm coming from. And she did eventually, but it was tough, man. I had to make a decision.
Yeah, I think the holidays is a place, if you want to talk about family and places where you may need to set boundaries. Yeah. The holidays may be it.
Yeah. I don't like staying at my mother-in-law's place. When we go to visit there, I'll most likely get a hotel room. There's lots involved in that, but I don't like doing that, and that hurts feelings, but I'd rather do that than be grumpy.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
I've seen you grumpy too.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
I don't know that they want to see you grumpy.
Yeah, and that's why I can't be in public office either. They'll all make me grumpy. Okay.
Me either, because every time I wear my Compassion International shirt, people make comments.
I know, because it's hilarious. Because it just says compassion. Oh my God. I saw it the first time. Okay. Cost of leadership. Number 2, you will be disliked despite your best attempt to do the best for the most. You're trying to make the best decision for the most of the folks, which sort of goes back to that Lincoln quote, I think, where you can't make everyone happy, but he had a great way of saying it. I'm going to look that up while you wrap on this a little bit.
I was just thinking I was going to show. This is going to sound very not compassionate.
Oh, okay.
If you are one of these people that need to feel liked all the time, then you don't need to be anywhere in leadership.
Yeah.
Because you will not be.
Look, not all of you have to deal with workman's comp, but those of you that do know that it's time consuming and it's a headache. Insurance in general feels like something that happens to you rather than for you. But partnering with someone that really knows their stuff, like Chris May, with LTN Insurance, you've heard him before on the podcast, offers you the opportunity to regain control of your insurance. By collaborating with Chris, you have the chance to craft a personalized plan that ensures you receive optimal coverage at the best price. At LTN Insurance, their foremost core value is centered on education rather than sales. Their core value actually says, we don't sell, we educate. Because they truly believe in empowering you, the customer, with the knowledge to make informed decisions about your insurance. That's whether you do business with them or not. They want you to be informed. So you can trust Chris and look him up. Give him a call. Or go to the website, ltninsurance.com. Dude, Lincoln for sure, which he did say, the following quote is attributed to the poet John Lydgate and later adapted by President Lincoln. You can please some of the people all of the time. You can please all of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all of the time. And that's true. That's deep.
There's no better verbal explanation of leadership than that when it comes to this topic.
Yeah.
You're not going to please someone in your organization.
Yeah.
Is going to have riff with you most of the time.
Number one, in your organization, decisions have to be made, right? And if it's your organization, for the most part, you're going to have the broadest view, the widest vision. You understand all the moving parts. So with that, you make the best decision you can with the information you have and with all of the overview that you have of what's going on in the business and where you're trying to take it, right?
You have an organization with operations and sales.
Oh, yeah.
Are they ever happy?
Never.
If sales is happy, operations never is.
I know.
If operations is happy, sales never is.
It's really, it's not yet. So sometimes I'll say you can get them both happy, but rarely. And I guess in that regard, I'm okay with that because I think I understand that. But for instance, and this is for real, and this is why you and I were talking about this topic, is that you may have one person that's doing their best, very best. They're working hard, but they're not able to connect with the people that they're trying to lead. And one person has to go for the betterment of all of the people underneath them. And that person is not going to see it that way. So you're going to be disliked. I'm going to be disliked. You're going to be disliked. Others are going to be disliked for the betterment of the most. And that's the decision you have to make. Other people are involved. Lots of people are involved. Lots of people are paying their bills. Lots of people are putting food on their table. But one of them has to go because that person cannot connect and can't fill the seat that they're supposed to. And it's not even necessarily their fault. They're just not a good culture fit.
You know where the overlap is here in family?
Oh, my God.
Adult children.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Okay. Hit me with that.
Sometimes somebody has to go. And I can talk with parents and figure out very quickly if their adult children has stayed home too long.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Tell me more about that. How is that?
If everyone in that house is disgruntled.
Everyone?
Meaning mom, dad, child, or 24-year-old.
Huh?
It's probably time for the adult child, if they have opinion about how bad their home life is, to move on out. And I can break this down for you even personally, because I know my kids don't listen to this podcast, so I'll just go ahead and say it.
One of them helps produce it. No big deal.
Yeah, and he'll hold this over to one's head that don't get to be at home. But there was a situation in my personal house.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Where there was just disruption happening everywhere.
Disruption, I like that.
And it was not anyone's particular fault except mine, being the leader, that I allowed an adult child to stay home too long.
Yeah.
And sometimes we, especially in family, we look at that as we're trying to give them a start. We're trying to set them in a successful path. But a lot of times them taking that space is not creating success for them. It's holding them back.
Yeah.
And so that can also pair into number one, too, where making hard decisions that negatively affects for a moment.
All of these things happen. It probably goes back to the dishes and everything else where
Right.
I'm not doing anyone any favors by coddling them. In team member, family member, anyone else, society member. I don't even want to get deep into that because Cliff will probably tell me how I'm wrong. But when a person has personal responsibility and they're fulfilling those personal responsibilities and they're accountable to someone, something, and they are making their way, they feel good about themselves. They have self-esteem. They have self-worth. When they are coddled and they are not responsible for making their way, internally, I feel, this is just my take, I feel like they don't have self-worth and they're searching for it, but they think that happiness or that fulfillment is going to be fulfilled outside. It's some sort of external thing. And so they get angry about external things or chase external things for happiness. And it really is an inside job.
Definitely.
Really an inside job. And as the leader, as the parent, as whatever. I have had by voting standards and like traditional standards, I have an adult that came home for holidays, and I did have to have the conversation because this is funny. We're talking about this is that like it took me probably a couple of maybe 4 or 5 visits, so maybe a couple of years coming home to visit my parents from college to figure out why they were upset with me. Here's what it is. I was coming home. I'm chilling with my bros from every day through semester 1, come home for Christmas. I'm want to go see all my friends and have the same sort of free standards I had before in college that I just enjoyed, then go away, then come back during the summer. And I still think that I'm this college student and that all these lack of rules and responsibilities applied. And my parents were getting increasingly upset with me. And it hit me at some point, oh my God, my life has changed and shifted in this one direction. Their life has stayed the same, essentially. Not the same, but like their environment hasn't changed. Mine has. Now I'm coming back from that environment into their environment, and I'm trying to act like I'm still at school with my bros. Coming in at 1:30 in the morning, leaving my dishes wherever. I don't know why I'm on dishes today. Leaving my stuff all over the place. Because it didn't matter where I lived, but it does in my parents' home. They're at that time probably 45 or whatever. And so as my son comes home, I was thinking about it before he got there. And I was like, hey, look, here's a heads up. This took me a little while to figure that out. But you're used to being there and we're used to being here. And now you're not there anymore. You're here. You got to do your best to fit in here. Because this is our house and we want you to come stay, but this ain't your house much anymore. As a matter of fact, we moved homes. So, so we want you to be here and you're always welcome, but you got to follow these rules and just don't cause, what did you say? Disruption.
Don't cause disruption.
And it took him a little bit and he's like, huh? I was like, man, I'm not saying I don't love you and I don't want you to be here, but I want you to not go through the heartache of trying to figure it out and thinking your parents don't like you. Because my parents did like me. They loved me. They just didn't know how to communicate that stuff. And I didn't really pick up on it. And it took me a little while. And I remember when it hit me, I was like, oh, yeah, it's not them. It's me.
Yeah, been there. And guess what?
You will be disliked.
Yeah. Guess what? She didn't like me for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah. No, imagine not. But if you do the right thing, they eventually like you.
Yeah.
If you do the right thing, and help someone transfer out, they eventually like you.
You know what she actually did over the holidays? She admitted it, which was great.
That's great.
Yeah, and I didn't like her either, so it's okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
At that moment,
yeah, you will be disliked despite your best attempt to do the best for the most. Hey, we could say politicians, good ones maybe. If there are, let's move forward with the assumption that there are a number of folks in public office that are in those positions trying to make the best decisions for the most. Can we say that?
Sure.
Let's move forward. Okay. So with that in mind, we can all agree that those people with the best intentions are going to make decisions that piss off a group of folks.
Always.
There we go. And then there you have Fox News and CNN and MSNBC spinning it all up how they're the worst. This is why I don't watch the news.
No. It's embarrassing.
You know what? The best example of that was, God, we're probably losing listeners right now. So we're back down to 12. But the best example of Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC, it was Rick Rubin. He was saying, I love WWE. It's entertaining. I know that it's not real. Some of it's real because they're getting hurt and they're doing these incredibly athletic endeavors and dropping elbows off the thing and doing flips and then landing on other people and all that stuff and hitting people with chairs and whatnot. He's like, that's partly real, but for the most part, it's not. And I get it. I watch the news the same way. If I ever do watch it, I understand that it's not real. And if the story's okay, I'll listen. But if not, I turn the channel. I'm like, oh, wow. Those red glasses got him all kinds of insight, huh?
I'm getting some of those.
Yeah, you should.
He looks real creative with that.
You
and I need to grow my hair back out, I think.
And a really long beard.
Yeah, his beard is awesome. That podcast, we'll link it in the show note.
Man,
and
really
go
good.
Listen to it.
Yeah, it really affected me. I liked it a lot. The cost of leadership, number 2, you will be disliked despite your best attempt to do the best for the most. That's a tough one. You can't make everybody happy. And if you're going to be in a position of leadership, you have to understand that that's the cost.
You also need to realize that sometimes it's your job as a leader.
Lots of times.
To shake things up.
Oh, shake things up? Tell me more about that. I don't know what you mean by that.
Sometimes as a leader, you have to disrupt.
Okay.
And that makes makes you unliked. Hey guys, this is Keith. Let me break down a scenario for you. Are you a business owner that is overwhelmed by the options of investing, but you're being told you need to invest in retirement, you need to invest in mutual funds, you need to buy some single stocks? Well, I have your fix. C2 Wealth Strategies, ran by our friend Wes Cody. Their website is c2wealth.com. If you are looking at investing at all and are confused by it, give them a call today. They will be happy to handle whatever you need. He's brought up very specific things that I need to be working on as a business owner in my investing life. Let him do that same thing for you. c2wealth.com or go to the overlaplife.com page and click on sponsors.
How would you disrupt or shake things up?
If I see my organization going into a place that I don't want it to go, I may have to turn the tide somewhat and redirect. Redirection always causes shakeups.
I stopped listening when you said the word tide. Sorry, go back again.
Roll tide.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Sometimes it's your job as a leader, as a boss, as a manager, to intentionally place yourself in the place of not being liked. That's what I was saying.
Is it just to piss people off, or is it to like an end result, trying to get to an end result?
Let's take this into the parenting space.
Okay.
Just as in parenting, sometimes I have to do stuff because I know the direction in which I want my family to go.
Okay.
That makes everyone in the house unhappy.
For an extended period of time, forever, for just a week, a short period of time?
If I have my finger on the pulse of my house, it shouldn't last an extended period of time.
Okay.
I should say this is the direction that we need to go, just like I do in my business.
Okay.
I'm going to change direction here, and it's going to disrupt some people, but it's going to have a better outcome because of it.
Okay.
I've seen you do that in your organization.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. But I still think if I'm taking what you're saying and I interpret it, I think you can say that sometimes you just have to make hard decisions that people have gotten complacent or used to a certain way, and you've got to bring back a certain amount of accountability or a certain clarity on where we're trying to go, and then hold people accountable.
Correct. And a lot of time in holding accountable, just like in children.
Oh, yeah. People, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
There we go. Yeah, and people always push back on accountability because no one really likes it at first, but once they get settled in and it works and they're getting positive results from it, it's like hiring a trainer. You know?
I don't like to go to the gym all the time.
I was about to say, how long did you hate Scott for yelling at you?
When that first ab popped out on the top.
When did that happen?
I have the one on the top. I can push it out.
Oh, okay. Push it out?
But I don't have any others. And only the right one shows up.
Oh, my God.
But when I saw it, that made me happy.
Oh, there you go. Positive results.
Yeah.
Even when you're pulling someone in a in a little cart or something.
No, that was
They're
demoralizing.
berating you
about a Big Mac.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't like that, being held accountable.
No.
Scott's actually pretty good about holding us all accountable. If he doesn't see us at the gym, he's like, "Oh, great.
He really does.
Great training today, guys."
Yeah.
Okay. So on to number 3. We're good with that?
We're good to it.
Okay.
Yeah, on with
Number 3, you will be misunderstood and you won't always have the opportunity to defend yourself. I'll read that again. You will be misunderstood and won't always have the opportunity to defend yourself. Yeah.
I'll jump in here and
Go
say,
ahead.
and we talked about this a little earlier,
Mm-hmm.
don't even waste the time on defending yourself.
Oh, yeah, you did say that. There's a lot of truth to that. Why would you not waste the time?
If you know where your organization or your family or your parenting needs to go.
Okay.
And you're doing it with a pure heart. That's the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Then defending yourself only makes you look scummy.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the people that it makes you look whiny.
Oh, yeah. You just look defensive. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone into a place of trying to defend yourself and then it turns around on you and you become the bad guy?
Yeah, I can get that. I can see that. I can get behind that.
Yeah. I would rather just be the bad guy because I'm a jerk
Yeah.
and I've changed direction. So I'm not going to defend myself over it.
Keith has no problem being a jerk.
I do. I have a very tender heart.
Yeah, you do. And you wear compassion shirts. But the only part that I would push back a little bit, and maybe we're saying the same thing, is I don't need to defend myself, but if I am going to try to get the team going in a certain direction and they're against it, lots of times they don't understand the why, and I explain the why.
Explaining the why and defending yourself is two different things.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going with that.
Don't defend yourself, explain the why. Get to what they don't understand.
Because most of the time at first, just think about it in parenting. Even when you explain the why, they're still mad.
Sure. But they at least know where I'm coming from and that it isn't an arbitrary task that I'm trying to get you to do because I just hate the dishes not being in there, which I do. But I want you to have a connection with the food that you are provided, that there is work involved in that. And so you don't get complacent thinking that food magically lands on your plate and then the plate magically leaves like you live in a hotel.
And by no means am I saying that we should treat our team members like children here. Because with my kids, sometimes I'm going to say, and this is the woke parents are about to come out at me right now.
God. So is Jocko, by the way. I know where you're going. He's going to say you shouldn't have to do that, but go ahead. Yeah, argue with him.
Jocko, come on with it. Sometimes I just get to say because I said so.
Yeah.
With my kids.
Yeah.
I don't think that you should be there with your team members because I think you should have good explanation for what you're doing when you're asking them. But sometimes I get to say, hey, Jane Addison, just clean this floor.
Yeah.
And when she says why, I know the outcome and why I need it to happen. But she don't have to.
I would push back again. I would say it doesn't take me much time to go because I want you to have some sense of responsibility of the home that you live in. I want you to get into the habit of keeping things clean. So you blah, blah, blah. And then if they still like, that's stupid, I'm like, I totally get that you at 15 years old would think that's stupid. I totally understand that. But I'm 45 and you're 15. There's a gap there in maturity and wisdom. And so can we agree that I possess more wisdom and more maturity than you do? Now, in your case, she might have an argument against you.
I really hate this time of the year when I'm 2 years older than you.
I'm not even 5 years. I'm not even 45. I'll be there, one day before you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be my only pushback. I think explaining the why is the best thing you can do. You're still going to be misunderstood. because everyone has better ideas when I don't know a better way of saying this. Everyone has a better idea when their nuts aren't on the line. Everyone has a better idea when the pressures and the reality of business, family, community, all the things aren't on their shoulders right then and there.
Yeah, but and then have you ever met those people that love to tell you that they're bearing the burden?
Oh, I don't know that one. I don't think.
Hey,
Maybe.
Hey, I have all of this on me. You ever met that leader? I've got all this on me.
Maybe, yeah.
And when I say that don't try to explain yourself by being misunderstood, don't whine about being the leader either. I met a ton of leaders that want to.
Okay, now I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like, huh?
Have you met leaders that want to tell you that they're carrying all the burden of running their business?
Yeah.
And they've got all of these. Okay. They chose to do it. I'm like, you chose to do it.
Yeah, no one put a gun to your head and say, hey, start your own thing.
Hey, start your own thing.
You just thought it was going to be easy.
Yeah.
And now you're in the game.
Don't go in whining to your team members about having to be the guy that signed the note to borrow the money.
Yeah. I will say that occasionally to go, this is the why. And then here, I hope you respect the decision because it's my name on all of those notes. And this is where my trump card comes in. I want us to have an open dialogue because I am open to the fact that I don't have all of the ideas. And frankly, man, the older I get, the more I realize that I'm not the smartest guy in the room. And there's 1,000 ways to be smart, right? Maybe someone's smart in a different way that I need that information. But at the end of the day, it's my decision because I'm the one that's holding all the bag. Let me take a little bit of a detour off of that, but it still ties in. We're still on the same road. It's just a detour. This cost of leadership here, this cost of leadership is what translates into why, if you are the owner, the leader, you're the sole equity owner of this entity, right? This is why you should get paid more than the people that work for you. So what the people that work for you don't understand is the risk involved. If it doesn't work out, everyone else gets to go get another job. Not you. You got to unwind that whole thing. You got to pay back all those notes. And maybe you're Dave Ramsey-esque and you don't have any debt. That's cool too. What are you going to do with the equipment? You don't have any equipment. Cool. What are you going to do after that? What are you going to do after that printing company doesn't work out?
Yeah, after 20 years.
What are you going to do? There's tremendous risk that is associated with running a business. 80% of all businesses fail after 5 years. Of those 20% that do make it, 90% of those don't make it past 10. Don't tell me there's not risk. Don't tell me there's not risk. Because you can look around and see the people that are making it, but those are the exceptions to the rules. That doesn't happen very often. It's
the ones that are making it are just our ability to endure pain.
Yeah, there's a lot of pain. Okay, guys, everyone knows if you're a business owner, a business leader, or you're just a person in the world needing help with accounting, you need a real partner. You need someone that's going to listen to you and not just plug numbers in to make their job easy to do your taxes. At least that's what I want. I've been through a lot of accountants in my life, and I have yet to find one even remotely as good as Johnny Baranco. He's the owner of Baranco and Associates, and he's the kind of guy that really doesn't manipulate your books to make his job easier. He really is trying to give you insights into your business or into your financial planning world. Whatever your goals are, he's there to help. And so I just encourage you to give him a call. Baranco and Associates, look him up online. It's barancoandassociates.com and just see if he can help you. He really is the accountant that I recommend to everyone, even before he was a sponsor of the podcast. So please, if you need an accountant, Just do yourself a favor and give him a call. Now, I'm not saying you need to not pay your people. You should be generous. You should recognize who's really helping you, and you should be generous.
Absolutely.
But you should this is one of those things that I think I run into all the time, and I'm sure it's another podcast, but like the business owner, how many business owners are like, I'm just really plowing it back into the business. And I'm like, cool, but you're paying that person 70 grand a year and you're making 20 and you're trying to raise kids. What are you doing, dude? This is misaligned here. You're never going to make it because you're going to get burnt out. You have to be getting something out of this.
That's what I was, the ability to endure pain.
Yeah.
Directly correlates with being liked. And if you want to be liked, probably you can't endure very much pain.
Well, and you just should have some boundaries of I'll put up with this for this long, but at this point it's no longer sustainable. You will be misunderstood and won't always have the opportunity to defend yourself. You might be in competition with others, people in the same space. I don't pay attention, but I know. I hear the stories that get back to me from people that I've never even met. I wouldn't even recognize them, say terrible things about me. Not even terrible things. In all aspects of business. It doesn't matter if it's in a gym, doesn't matter if it's landscaping, doesn't matter if it's in the jiu-jitsu world. Yeah, I'm a bad guy, which is crazy to me because I don't even know who some of these people are. And I'm fairly self-aware. If I am very prone to making mistakes. I'm very prone to being passionate and direct. And I'm real sensitive to the point that if you give me 5 minutes to reflect on that and I'm making an apology. I can't live with it. It just messes with me. And I've done some pretty good work and gone to these seminars and written out my eulogy and all this other stuff. And I want people to be at my funeral and I want people to say good things, not because of ego, but I want to provide value to people's lives. And sometimes I'll over-index on that and forget about being kind. But either way, I'm still going to end up the bad guy.
Believe it or not, I've been accused of forgetting to be kind.
Even with the compassion shirt on? Y'all, we should get a photo of him in that compassion shirt. I'll never forget. I walked into a meeting one time and he's sitting there with that shirt on. I just died. Oh, Keith is one of our friends that will just say mean things to stir the pot. And that's why I almost let him rant a little bit. Sometimes it's your job to shake things up, and I thought he was going to go there. Yeah, back to my point, man, it is strange. You're going to be misunderstood in your space, in whatever space you're working in, you're operating in. And I think that's back to a quote where it's, man, if you want everyone to like you, then do something and say good things and not talk about you, then don't do anything, be anything, or be about anything.
Just yesterday, I had to purposefully be misunderstood.
Oh, goodness. Here we go. All right. You got to unpack that because I don't know what you're talking about.
So authors tend to be very emotional people. They're creative.
Okay.
Their families also, if they tend to think, let me just say this. Authors think they're your only client, so to speak.
Okay.
You can put authors and clients.
Sure.
In my world.
Okay.
I had to remind this guy he just wasn't my only author.
Oh, there you go. That's not misunderstood. That's setting boundaries.
Yeah, but
seems like you were well understood.
To him, and this is a high-profile dude.
Oh, okay.
But I had to let him know, hey.
Was it Obama?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. He gets big dollars for his book deals.
I was about to say.
I can't remember the dollars, but
he
was
would be
crazy.
My only client.
It was crazy money for his last book.
Is he going to talk about Epstein?
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'm throwing us off the rails here. Okay. You had to set some boundaries with a client.
And that's going to cause misunderstanding most of the time.
Or that causes you to be disliked despite your best attempt to do the best for the most.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't know, folks. We could keep talking about this, but you get the point that there is a cost to leadership.
But what I did yesterday for him,
Yeah.
it was going to positively impact him.
Oh.
Because he was asking me to do something that would negatively impact him on down the road.
Oh, there you go.
And I knew better.
Yeah, don't post that photo. It's going to live forever.
Don't put that video out.
Don't put the video out. Oh, my God. Yeah, don't do that. Anything else?
No, I think that we went way longer than I thought we would on this topic. This has been good.
I knew we would. I was just, my biggest fear on this was trying to stay, because it's such a broad topic. And it, I think for me, it's so raw right now that we're experimenting with, is this a good thing to do in more of a conversational piece, us back and forth, and it be raw and a little bit more emotional. I did effectively not cry talking about the pizza lady, and I didn't tell Keith that we were going to go that route, but I knew that there's a lot of stuff like that, man. There's a lot of scars and a lot of hurt in I've had people steal from me. I've had people that...
Oh, me too. Thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, me too.
People that I cared about.
Yeah, I've had people spread rumors. I've had people, just all kinds of things. And it just, when you boil it down, it just really is, you know how people say that's the cost of business. This is just the cost of leadership. Sometimes I want to argue about the cost of business stuff. Oh, that's the cost of business. And I'm like, is it? You probably still could. Or is that an excuse for you just to spend money? But the cost of leadership is a real thing, man. You're not going to be able to make everyone happy. You are going to be misunderstood. And then you are going to have to make decisions that negatively affect people that you care about. You just are. Sometimes, we didn't even talk about this, and I hate that we're bringing this up at the end, but that number one is the one that hits me the most. There was a time at the beginning of my business that I had to say, no, I can't go to that thing. No, I couldn't participate in as much family stuff. And sometimes that was true, and sometimes it wasn't. I wasn't doing a very good job properly identifying what things were important and what things weren't. My grandmother died, and I loved her. She was fantastic, and she really did love me and care about me. Beautiful woman, and just, God, so just awesome. And she died, and we had a really great relationship, and I just didn't go to her funeral. I was too busy at work. Couldn't do it. Called my grandfather, said, I'm sorry, I can't go. I regret that, like all the time. Because I could have, and I just didn't, because I thought I was too busy at work. But yeah, this is probably another podcast and definitely another idea. But man, those mistakes are the ones that sort of get you to think about things. If you stay in the game long enough, you learn from them. And then there's the people, and I already mentioned it, the people that you grow up with or build a business with that just can't make it to that next level. You know it, and they probably know it too. They just don't want to hear it. No one wants to address it. And if you don't address it as the leader, who will?
Tyler Perry. He is. Medea.
Yeah, I've never actually seen a Medea movie, and I couldn't pick. If Tyler Perry was sitting in this studio right now, I wouldn't be able to recognize him, but I know the name.
He does a wonderful job. A wonderful talk on people are in your life for seasons.
Ooh.
It's an amazing talk. And so that's the only thing that I thought of when you said what you said about team members that help you get there, but sometimes they can't make the move to continue.
Yeah. Friends are that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. There have been friends in my life that have been there for seasons.
Yeah. The friends that I had 20 years ago are not the friends that I have now.
No, and my friend group is a lot smaller.
Holy shit. Yeah. Crap. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, man. Whoa. Yeah, I used to have lots of friends. Lots. Now I've got like 4.
Yeah, maybe it's because I don't have any compassion.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. That is strange. All right. Hey, listeners, I'm going to wrap this up. Unless, Keith, you got anything else?
No, I think
yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah, we totally nailed this. We sent the people away that didn't want to hear us bringing up Fox News, MSNBC, because they love them. And then maybe we brought some others in. Hey, speaking of bringing others in, we've got some great sponsors, and you probably hearing their ads. And I just wanted to make sure that I said, one, thank you to those sponsors, and then tell you, the listener, to please, man, we really do have a tight policy that we do not have anyone sponsoring this program that we don't really believe in. So when we talk about these people, we really do mean it. So if you would, please utilize our sponsors. If you need a service that they can provide, I promise you're going to be happy with them.
Speaking of that, welcome LTN Insurance.
Yeah.
They can do insurance all across the country.
Hey, if you heard my ad, man, and they've been coming on a couple of these episodes already.
Yep.
I'm not lying. Yeah, they're pretty awesome. Chris, and you could have heard Chris May's episode. It's like in the 100s. He's a pretty good dude. So thanks to the sponsors. Listeners, thank you so much for listening. I still am unsure why. I feel like there's lots of good podcasts out there, but I do really appreciate it. I had a guy talk to me. Yeah, I had one of these. I had a Keith Glines moment. Keith Glines always gets people talking to him about, hey, that podcast I listened to, 10X is easier than 2X. And he was like, man, he mentioned it one time. And then about 3 weeks later, he's like, man, I listened to that again. And it really did propel me to change my career path. And it's all working out for the better. And I really appreciate it. So I wanted you to know that you're impacting lives. I was like, oh my God. Almost had a little tear in my eye. That's good.
I know, doing nice stuff.
Putting good in the world.
People.
If you help enough people get what they want out of life, ultimately you get what you want out of life.
Thank you, Zig.
There you go. And with that, I better shut it down because that was about as good as it gets. I really appreciate you guys listening. Thank you so much.
Overlap t-shirts available on the website.
Oh, there we go.
In the store. Just go there, click store.
Oh,
order your t-shirt.
Please do.
Peace.
Thanks, Sid and Keith, for allowing me this opportunity to explain why Pro 356 Consulting is back, again, sponsoring and supporting the Overlap podcast. Number one, I just have found that this is a great podcast, that I share your values of the overlap concept, and I have found just so many great nuggets from listening to you guys. Number two is, I remember when you approached me at Hatch about starting a podcast, and I said, hey, that's why we built that podcasting studio at Coastal, and you guys took it up, and here we are. You've done 100 broadcasts, and now you're on the way to 200. And lastly, I just want to say that I just appreciate the way you guys do business, and I want to associate with you. So Pro 356 is glad to be back as a promoter and sponsor of the Overlap podcast.